I've studied YouTube for over 10 years. I've bought books, paid for courses. I've watched tons of videos from different YouTube creators on how to blow up on YouTube. This video is essentially the culmination of my thoughts on the subject. If you're wondering why should I watch this particular video instead of any other, I guess the difference between this one and all the other videos available on YouTube is that at the time of shooting this video, I literally haven't launched this channel.
Yes, you keep saying that.
This is a very, very new channel. This video is being shot while the channel has been launched, which means if this channel or if this video is successful, then I probably know what I'm saying. And so I'll be daring and I'll take a bet that this video is going to clock over 20,000 views within 3 months.
Okay, well, we shall see.
Now, why do I know that? Because there are a couple of rules or guidelines you can follow to be successful on YouTube. Now, first, let's set the non-negotiables, right? First, you have to put out the content. I didn't say script the content. I didn't say plan the content. I didn't say shoot the content. I said put out the content. Second non-negotiable, you have to be willing to experiment and learn from your experiments. You can't be one trick pony. You have to try out different things and you have to be willing to do that. Third non-negotiable is that you have to be authentic. You're the coolest version of yourself that exists. You shouldn't settle for doing stuff other people like, and I would typically advise that you actually play in a niche that you yourself enjoy watching content on. That way you understand what viewers want to see. You're a viewer or a consumer of the kind of content they're actually creating. As part of being authentic, you have to let your personality shine through and talk about your life stories and stuff that's happened to you. So those are non-negotiables. Now, when it comes to blowing up on YouTube, people typically talk a lot about tactics. Now, what do I mean by tactics? Tactics are things like you should post 2 or 3 videos a week. You should put up content at XYZ time of the day. You should comment on every comment you receive on your video, and you should put links of your videos to different Reddit forums. Those kind of things basically help you get views on your channel, especially at the beginning. People might also have advice like, oh, you should only do how-to videos so that when people, want to search for something on YouTube, how to ABC, how to XYZ, then they see your videos and it's evergreen and so on and so forth. There are tons and tons of tactics of how to blow up on YouTube. I like to think about the attempt to blow up on YouTube as being divided into tactics and strategies. Now, what's strategies? Strategies, thinking more on what you want to achieve with the channel. Different people on YouTube, not everyone is playing the same game. What do I mean by game? By game, I mean the way people want to make money on YouTube. Now, there are several games you can play on YouTube. Some people are playing the affiliate marketing game. Some people are playing the game where they're selling their product or their services online via YouTube. So they have like a YouTube shop. Some people are playing the Patreon or buy me coffee game. Some people are playing the super thanks, super chats game. Some people are playing the brand sponsorship game where they're looking for people to support the channel or people who want to advertise their own products to come on the channel to say, okay, we'll sponsor a video. You see that all the time. But of course, by far, the most common game people are playing, probably also the least profitable game, in my opinion, that people play on YouTube is the YouTube Partnership Program, which is available to most creators once they cross the threshold, 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 views, and so on. Now, no matter what type of game you play, having high viewership helps you to do better on YouTube. But depending on the type of content you're trying to build, it might be better to have a channel that connects very, very closely with the specific audience you're looking to build, especially if you're not doing like a mass market channel. So take, for instance, you're doing a channel on how to train horses. You might be much happier if you got 50,000 views of people who are actually keen on horses, love horses, have horses that they want to train, are going to be putting into practice things that you're talking about, rather than say 10 million views of people who randomly stumbled on channel because there was a bit of the video that was really funny. So for some people, getting fewer views from very specific class or niche of people is far more valuable than getting a lot of views from randos. By that I mean random people. From strategy standpoint, I would consider 3 frameworks. Framework 1, creating value for others. Now, this is a channel where you make a video about helping someone do something that they want to do. You always want to, at least at some point, think about your audience during video creations. You want to know the type of people your audience would be. For example, even though I haven't created this channel yet, literally, I know the name of the channel and I know the kinds of people that I want to view this channel. This channel is called Fighting Mediocrity, and the basic point is I'm looking to attract kind of people who, like me, are trying to set up on a journey towards, being financially independent, successful, all that good stuff. But essentially, I have a good sense of my audience, right? You want to help people achieve ABCDs thing that they want to achieve. Now, this could be, if you've made $1 million before, you could tell people about how to make $1 million. I have no idea how they do it. The basic point here in creating value for others is that you focus on A, the audience, B, what they want to achieve. The point here is demand. It has to be something people want, and then you typically want to put a promise in your hook, title, and thumbnail text so people have an idea of what they're going to be learning going into your video. The second framework is to focus on yourself. What does that mean? It means scratch your own itch. I think I saw this with a Russell Brunson video where he said, if you don't know what to make videos on, make videos for yourself 5 years ago. And I thought that was so cool. When he said that, I was like, that makes sense. Now, obviously, you should have grown between where you were 5 years ago and where you are now. So if you were talking to yourself from 5 years ago, what kind of things would you like to tell yourself? What kind of things would you like to educate yourself? What have you learned in the last 5 years that you 5 years ago would have loved to know but did not know? So here, you're probably going to focus on past perceived values. You're sharing a lot of your story, you're sharing a lot of your personal experiences, you're sharing a lot of things that happened to you over time and have helped you learn and become a better person. The other way of scratching your own itch might be to focus on present pursued values. So here you're probably talking more about your interests, your learnings in the recent times, and you're talking about the things that you're heading towards. And then the third one is to talk about your future perceived virtues. Here you're talking more about your vision, you're talking more about your growth, you're talking more about the things that you're aspiring to. There are a couple of different ways to play around this. It might be your vision in terms of maybe a company you're building, a product you're working on, a project you're working on. It doesn't really matter what the actual specific subject is, but here, when you're scratching your own itch, you're trying to create learnings for people who are similar to you, either in terms of your past, your present, or the future you're aspiring towards. And then finally, there's storytelling, which is a niche I really, really like, and there's an unlimited number of ways to do this. But some of the ones I found super cool, so I'll just highlight them, are combining multiple different interests together. So when I think about the likes of Tiezu is a wildlife channel. But if you've ever watched any Tiezu video, they're so cool. The language in Tiezu focuses on it's more like gamer language. So you hear things like GG, nerfed, these kind of gamer words that if you play games, you know exactly what that means. But if you're only into wildlife, you're probably going to be confused. So it combines these two niches in a very cool way. And if you're someone who only watches a lot of wildlife, you might still enjoy it. But if you're a lot older and definitely not into the game industry, you might be pretty confused and might just log off. But the point with that is it combines these different niches. It's able to create a much richer story tapestry and language and visual and everything. It's just beautiful. The other thing is telling well-known stories in a way that really emphasizes on your personality and your charisma. I think two creators that do this fantastically are Jevi, who typically is talking about celebrity stuff and hot gist. He starts from the controversy itself, and then he goes on to talk about why the problem was such an annoyance, and then he spells everything out. Super cool. It's so engaging. And then there's Nicole Lindsay. The personality she exudes is more or less one of someone that's a hardcore geek and really loves wildlife animal stuff, but it's the way she tells the story. So this part of storytelling is more focusing on being entertaining, but really letting your personality to shine through. And the personality bit, I would say, is something that no matter what strategy you use, really helps. And then the third thing is to just create drama and fictional stories. That's another method used. Someone like Beluga, I would say that's kind of what he does. In the words of Gary Vee, embrace your personality, embrace your DNA, be yourself, and people will be interested. I think one creator that really comes to mind when I think about this is Patrick Boyle. I would probably describe him as being more of an introverted, deadpan personality. But if you check out his videos on YouTube, they're very, very, very popular for someone who has a very dry humor. But again, the point is, no matter who you are, no matter your type of personality, no matter what your interests are, there are so many people on YouTube that all you need is a tiny slice of the internet to be invested or interested in your interest, your personality, and what you have to say, and you're good. Now, all this comes, again, like I said, to strategy. You want to, if I were to summarize it, I'll summarize it into 5 things. You want to be bold, you want to be authentic, you want to be engaging, you want to have an angle. Having an angle is critical. What's an angle? An angle is a way of going about your storytelling that someone can describe in concrete terms that differentiates you from like anybody else just on the internet. An example, for instance, would be Tiezu, which I mentioned before. Another example I can think about is Oversimplified. They do history videos, so they might talk about the First World War or the wars of Napoleon or the Second World War, whatever. But the way they tell it, they oversimplify the details and they infuse a lot of humor, and it's this cartoony style where even though it's likely factually correct, the emphasis on how they tell the story and how they try to create contours and dramas as they do the storytelling. Fantastic videos. And then you want to create alignment between your audio, your visuals, and your storytelling style. Great example of that I already mentioned before is Beluga. Check out his videos even if you've never seen them. Now, when it comes to tactics, whatever your strategy is, if you don't have the right tactics, then your video is not going to blow up. The reason I wanted to talk about strategies first is because if you get the right tactics and you make a video blow up, you still might not have a successful channel if you don't think about your strategies. So there are YouTubers, for instance, who have millions of followers on YouTube, yet they can't earn a living, make a decent amount of money off of YouTube. There are also YouTubers who have 30,000 subscribers and they make a killing off of YouTube because they know the game that they're playing and they play it extremely well. Now, when it comes to tactics, I think the things that are really key, or the most important thing really, is your title, thumbnail text, and hook combination. A lot of times people don't quite put enough thought into the title of video and asking themselves, why should people want to watch this video based on what I've titled it? People think about titles more as like a summary or a description of what the video is going to say. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the summary of the video or the description, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that matters is, what are you going to title this video that would make people want to watch it? So that's what you answer with those 4 things: your title, the thumbnail text. Now, thumbnail text is if there's any wording in your thumbnail. Obviously, it's not necessary. Most people have some level of text in their thumbnail. Those 3 things form like a mini story before the person ever clicks your video. It doesn't matter how great your video is. If you don't put those 3 things together in a way that makes people want to watch your videos, then nothing's gonna happen. I really want to emphasize on that point more than any other tactic people talk about. Make sure you have that one nailed down. And then your hook, because even people come to the video in 10 seconds or less, they might decide whether or not they want to watch the video. So you want to make sure you have a really engaging hook. You want to spark curiosity, controversy, or you want to be outrageous in your combination of these 3 things. Your hook just says, I know why you're here, I'm going to give you what you want. There are tons of other strategies in general. Most of those other strategies are not as powerful as the thumbnail, text, and hook. So things like making sure when you're starting out a YouTube channel, you're starting out with like 5 videos. Don't start out with just 1 video, because then YouTube isn't sure you're going to stick around and maybe they may or may not push it as much. But just remember, the algorithm is always changing and YouTube is about people viewing your videos. Know your audience. Focus on your audience. And at the beginning of your channel, focus on your audience to the exclusion of everyone else. What does that mean? That means use language that your audience understands, but other people probably don't really understand. Why? Because it makes your core audience feel special. You want to build a core audience at the beginning rather than trying to be mass media or have everybody interested in what you're doing. If everybody's interested, no one's interested. You want to be the core fan base, and from there, other people can get in on it. So if you do have content that a very specific set of people will likely be interested in, I would say use the kind of language that speaks to them directly, even if that language excludes other people who might have been interested in your content. That said, above everything else, find happiness in the grind. And in the words of Gary Vee, to everyone who is freaking out because they fear the noise and the distraction of all the additional content on the internet, you can relax. Quality is a tremendous filter. Cream always rises no matter how many cups of coffee you put. And the point there is, if you do good content, people will see it. It might take a while, but it will come to the top. So get out there and blow up on YouTube.